Alrighty, we are going to take a look at your DMR from yesterday. Remember, today is your quiz that is for a grade, so it is your final opportunity to ask any questions about the information that you see. Number one, look at the graph below. How many more kids prefer math than science? We have math, we have science. Each pencil is equal to 2 students, so that is 2, 4, 6 students prefer math. 2, 4 plus 1 is 5 students prefer science. 6 subtract 5 is equal to 1, so our answer is 1 student. It should say student because right now it's purple unicorns, but we'll give Miss Thaxton who made this some grace. All right, let's check out our next one. Use less than, greater than, or equal to compare. 1/2 is equal to 2/4. Here's my whole rectangle. If I cut the top one in half and shade it, it is this much of the shape. If I cut my bottom into fourths and shade it, it is this much of the shape. 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4 because they start and stop in the same location. Questions on that one? All right, excuse me. Welcome, Will.i.am. Next up, ooh, I just made that too big. There we go. Look at the fraction below, choose all. Ooh, look how big that is. Ruh-roh. Hold on. There we go. All that's true about the fraction, notice that all means 2 in this case. Our fraction is 1/8. One more unit fraction would make this 1/2, false. There are 8 pieces in this whole, true. Our denominator tells us that. This is more than 1/2, false. There are 4 pieces in this whole, false. This is a unit fraction, true. Unit fraction is 1 part. Any questions on that? Alrighty. Terrence, John, let's get those cameras on, please. How much is this in dollars and cents? Don't forget your dollar sign and decimal point. Okay, we have a dollar bill. This is a $5 bill, so I'm going to go ahead and write down $5. I'm going to count my coins. I'm going to count my quarters first. I have 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4 quarters. Uh-oh, 4 quarters makes another dollar. So I don't have $5, I have $6. Doot. Okay, now I've got to count my nickels. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, $6.25. Make sure you put your decimal point, okay? If you don't put your decimal point, you're saying you have $600, and that is a lot more money than if you put your decimal point and have $6.25. It's a very big difference. If the dividend is divided evenly by the divisor, what is the quotient? We have 60 here, Justin. There are 4 buckets. I know, Justin, that when I count by tens, Justin, I'm going to get to 40, Justin, 10, 20. Thank you, Justin, 30 and 40, Justin. See all of those? I have 40 there. Okay, we had 60. We're going to subtract 40 because we just got rid of that. We have 20 left. Getting to 20 while counting by 4s is a lot easier than getting to 60. So let's do it. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 5 more. 5 for that bucket, 5 for that bucket, 5 for that bucket, 5 for that bucket. 10 plus 5 is equal to 15, so there are 15 in each bucket. Okay, I could check this by repeated addition by adding 15 4 times. 5, 10, 15, 20. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 60 is equal to 60. There we go, Justin. We got it. Questions? All right. Let's get to it, kiddos. We are going to take a look at our math assignment for today. I'd like to let you know that on Monday, you are going to be taking a math test on graphs, okay? So on Monday is your graphing quiz. So if you have any questions, today is the last day to ask those questions before you are getting graded on your assessment. Okie doke. All right. Go ahead and click on that activities bulb, please. It will refresh your feed. You will see that we are going to work on slides 1 through 9 together. You will work on the rest independently. Today, we're going to continue focusing on building or creating graphs. We have been reading them, now we're creating them. Titles, categories, scales, data, all of it, okay? Click on that add response. As you are pulling that up, I'm going to play our success criteria for you. Here is your goal for today.
Today, our main focus is continuing to be able to use frequency tables to represent data and create scaled bar graphs and scaled picture graphs. We'll also be creating a line plot from data today. Today, the important part is that you will be using graphs and being able to correctly put on a title, the data, a scale, and the categories on your graphs. We will also be reviewing, answering how many more and how many less one-step and two-step problems.
Okay, so with your teacher on slide 3, we're going to first take a look at our vocabulary for bar graphs to get our brain reviewed. It asks us to watch the video, then we're going to label where our title, our data, our categories, and our scale are. Okay, that is our goal.
Excuse me, Lysandra?
Yeah?
What are your favorite pizza toppings?
What are my options?
I asked the other students in my grade what their favorite pizza toppings are, okay? I got the data in this table right here. If only there was a visual way to make it more clear.
But there is.
Who are you?
I'm Bar Graph Girl, the only bar graphing superhero in the whole world. Wanna compare the data easily?
Sure.
Put it in a bar graph, it won't hurt. You'll need a horizontal line down below. That's the x-axis, exactly so. We need a vertical line on the left side. That's the y-axis, you should give it a try. Give the x-axis a label.
Pizza toppings?
Yeah, along the bottom, you gotta copy the topping types, which are categories or types of data.
Extra cheese, pepperoni, mushrooms, my head hurts.
You'll be done soon. Next, label the y-axis, number of students. Now, add a scale to the axis.
Like a fish?
No, how much will count by the increments.
I could count by ones, but my graph will be huge.
Yeah, so it may be better to count by twos.
Cool.
Each line stands for 2 student votes.
Bar graph girl, you're the best.
Oh, you didn't know? Bar graphs are a visual way to show data. Parts of a bar graph, categories, the scale, title, bars, and the labels. Okay, bruh, yeah. Bar graphs are a visual way to show data.
Like it.
Parts of a bar graph, categories, the scale, title, bars, and the labels.
So many bars.
Okay, bruh?
What's our bar graph missing?
It's missing bars.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the Indy 500 missing cars. Our bars will show how many kids voted for each category that we listed below. Do you see?
6 students voted for extra cheese.
First go to that category, then we slide up on the scale to 6.
Slide up.
Draw the bar and shade it in real quick.
This looks slick.
Yeah, but don't quit on me. 18 students voted for pepperoni.
I draw the bar to the 18.
Oh, you're getting it. And each bar you draw should have the same width.
Like
now 15
this.
students voted for mushrooms.
There's no 15 on my scale. We are so doomed.
Chill, we just stop halfway between the 14 mark and the 16.
Oh, should my graph have the title?
Yes, indeed, it should tell us about what info we're gonna see.
Fave pizza toppings in my class.
Nice title. Now look at this sweet bar graph.
graph.
We can analyze the data easily. I
How?
see the most popular topping is pepperoni.
Because that bar is the tallest?
Yes, indeed. Now how many more like that than like extra cheese?
Now you know.
Bar graphs are a visual way to show data.
Yeah.
Parts of a bar graph, categories to scale, title bars and the label.
Okay, bruh.
Okay, bruh, yeah. Bar graphs are a visual way to show data. Parts of a bar graph, categories to scale, title bars and the labels. Okay, bruh.
Bar graphs,
Don't sleep on.
bar graphs,
Get the data into.
bar graphs,
Turn your table into.
bar graphs,
Pie charts are overrated.
bar graphs, bar graphs, bar graphs, bar graphs.
All right, people. Yes, indeed. Here we go. Watch the video. Use the text boxes and arrows to label the parts of a graph. Okay, let's take a look at this video that we see, or this image that we see here. Let's label where the title is. Our title goes at the top of our graph and it shows what the graph is about. Let's get that title labeled. You will be adding titles to graphs. Questions about where the title is? Okay, let's take a look at our data. The data is the information on the graph. Okay, that is the bars, the pictures, or the line plots. So that's showing where it's at, what the information is. Let's label that information. Okay. Categories. Our categories, there are 2 of them. I'm going to duplicate this arrow so that I can label both categories. That is the name of the pizza toppings and the number of students. We've got 2 categories here. Categories are the groups of information. Any questions on that so far? All right, let's take a look at the scale. Our scale is here, and our scale shows what we are counting by. It's the numbers there, okay? Any questions on our labeling of our graph? All right, let's take a look at slide 4. Slide 4 is going over more information about where the title, scale, and categories are. This is what you are going to complete today. So this is an example of a blank graph and what you are going to add to it. So take a look and ask questions.
Today, we are going to be creating our scaled graphs, focusing on the different parts of a graph and making sure we know where they go. The first thing I'm going to do is place the title, scale, and categories where they need to be on the graph. Here are my categories on the tally chart, and I'm going to make sure that I put these 4 in the same order. Now that they are in the same order as over here, I've got 2 left. This box says food items sold on the weekend, and this one says scale, blank food items. I know that my scale comes down to the bottom, and so this must be my title. It also matches the tally chart, so it goes to the top. The next thing I need to do before I can create my scale and put my scale on the side here is I need to find out what these numbers are. So I'm going to count up the tally marks. I've got 16, 24, 12, and 8. 24 is my largest number. I know that if I started at 0 and went by ones, I would not make it to 24 before my graph was over. Counting by twos might be hard, but I could try. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. That's not going to work. But one thing I know about these four numbers that I notice is that they are all multiples of 4. If I do my 4 chant, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. I hit all 4 of them. So I'm going to try a scale of 4. So I'm going to count by 4s along here to go up for each of these. Remember, this line where I put the number marks the line here and what number it stops at. So I always start at 0 for the bottom because that's the base down here. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. I don't need to go up to 40, but I might as well fill it in while I'm here. The next step would be taking these numbers and creating the bars. So I'm going to use my highlighter, and I see that I have 16 hamburgers. So I'm going to start at 0 and go up to 16 and color that in. I stop here at this line because this is where my 16 is. I'm going to continue on with the pizza, fried chicken, and hot dog. Now that I have graphed all of my data on my chart, I have completed my bar graph. Now I'm ready to go to the next slide and answer some how many more and how many less questions.
All right. Let's take a look at completing these questions with the graph that Ms. Sharp has just completed for us. So we see this graph here. We have our data set and our frequency chart here. We've translated it into that bar graph. Let's take a look at question 5, okay? Or I apologize, slide 5. It says, analyze the graph on the slide before by answering these questions. How many more pizzas were sold than hot dogs? I'm going to go ahead and highlight the 2 categories that I need, which are pizza and hot dogs. When I look back at her graph, it's kind of hard for me to see, so I'm going to click on that play symbol to show the graph there. And I'm going to look at my pizza and hot dogs. Pizza goes up to 24. So 24 pizzas were sold. Hot dogs goes up to 8. So 8 hot dogs were sold. So I have 24 pizzas. I have 8 hot dogs. We are subtracting because we are finding how many more one has than the other. So we're going to take away the amount that they both have and see what's left for the greater amount. 24 subtract 8. 4 subtract 8 is not possible, so I'm going to regroup. I now have 14 ones because I borrowed a 10 from the 20. "14 subtract 8 is 6. 10 subtract nothing is 10. So I have 16 more pizzas. On your test on Monday, if you are not putting in your labels, then you are going to be missing points. Okay, remember when we are working with data, we've got to be specific for what that data is showing us. This data is showing us about pizzas. 11, a question.
So just loaded in, so I'm going
Say it again.
I said that I just loaded into Seesaw and like 30 seconds ago, so I'm not gonna be able to be caught up completely with you.
Sure you are. Forget the stuff before and just join us now on slide 5. The good news
Okay.
is we haven't typed anything. So all you got to do is get with us on slide 5 and you can just catch up where we are. Don't worry about trying to do the rest, okay? All right. How many less fried chicken and hot dogs? Look at that and. That's a clue word to add. How many less fried chicken and hot dogs were sold than pizza? So I'm going to combine fried chicken and hot dogs. I'm going to compare it with pizza. Let's take a look at these together. Again, it's kind of hard for me to see, so I'm going to move that so I can see my graph more
Fried
clearly.
chicken
Here we
and
go.
hot dog.
Be quiet, Miss Sharp. There we go. All right. Our question was about fried chicken and hot dogs. I got fried chicken up to 12, hot dogs up to 8. Okay, fried chicken is 12, hot dogs are 8. So first we're going to add our fried chicken of 12, fried chicken, and hot dogs of 8. We're going to combine those together to see what they equal. Two plus 8 is equal to 10. I got to carry my 10, put down my 0 ones. 10 plus 10 is 20. So we've got 20 fried chickens and hot dogs. Now, I don't have to go back at my graph and look for pizza because I already know my pizza answer from right here. It's 24. Okay, so I'm now going to compare my 24 pizzas to my fried chicken and hot dogs. So 24 subtract 20. 4 subtract 0 is 4. 20 subtract 20 is 0. So we have 4 less. The question is about fried chicken and hot dogs.
I
So
right?
the label needs to be about fried chicken and hot dogs. 4 less fried chicken and
I have to
hot
go
dogs.
back to the table.
And hot dogs. Hot dog, hot dog. So that is going to be 4 less. So this was over here a one-step problem. We only had to do one equation. This over here was a two-step problem. We had 2 equations to solve. The first combining fried chicken and hot dogs. The second comparing the hot dogs and fried chicken to the pizza. 2 steps here. Okay. Any questions on either of those? Yes, Aiden Hampton.
Is it okay if I get more time?
If you did what?
Is it okay if I get more time to look at it?
Sure. Yeah, you just need some time on this slide.
Yeah.
No
Thank you.
problem. You're welcome. Slide 6, we're going to work on creating this graph. Our directions say place the title. So that's one thing to do. I don't want that kind of a pen. Place the categories. That's another thing to do. Place the scale. That's another thing to do. So step 1 has 3 things for us to do. Step 2 says complete the picture graph. So before we can create our graph, we've got to get the title, the scale, and the categories where they need to be. Down here, we have a title, a scale, and categories. See them all here? We can move them around. Okay? So let's take a look at our title. Over here, we can see our title. Schools in each town. That is what our data set is about, Justin. So that's what we're going to put our title as, Justin, is schools in each town, Justin. So it's going to go up top, Justin. Justin, 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 Justin. Probably need to turn your body to face your camera, baby, or your computer, baby, so you know you're doing your work. There you go. Less likely to get distracted. Got our title there, schools in each town. Okay. So our title, done. Our scale's down here. Look, that makes sense for it to be down there. It's easy to see. So I'm going to leave the scale right there. And the categories, here's our categories over here. The categories are the names of the town: Mayfield, Richmond, Greenwood, and Salem. To make it easier, I'm going to put these in the same order on my pictograph. So Mayfield is first on the frequency chart. I'm going to put Mayfield first on my graph. Richmond is second on my frequency chart. I'm going to put Richmond second on my picture graph. Greenwood is third on my frequency chart. I'm going to put Greenwood third on my picture graph. Salem is fourth on my frequency chart. I'm going to put Salem fourth on my picture graph. That way, when I'm creating the graph, it's easy for me to see. Dun, dun, dun. What did I do wrong for a picture graph? Levin?
You said what?
What did I do wrong for a picture graph?
You didn't put the names in the slot.
I didn't put what?
You didn't put the names in the slot.
I didn't. I didn't put them in the same
Down
order.
in the slot.
Yep, on the side where they go. Remember, our picture graphs are going to go out here to the side. I put my categories in the wrong place. Oops. Let's move those. Silly me. There we go. Yes, Levin.
You were trying to make a bar graph.
I was. That's where the categories go on a bar graph. My brain got confused. So I'm glad I took a minute to look at the whole thing and make sure that it made sense according to how it was set up. Okay.
It kind of is similar to a bar graph.
It is, yeah. A lot of the graphs are very similar. They have the same features and things. Levin?
And the scale should count by 2.
Say it again.
The scale should count by 2.
You think the scale should count by 2s? Okay, let's check it out. Levin's hopping ahead of me. Scales, okay? We have data 1, 10, 4, and 2. Most of these are even numbers, 2, 4, and 10. 1 is an odd number, but if we go with Levin's idea of counting by 2s, if I split 2 in half, I've got 1 and 1. So that makes sense for a half of a picture. So I think a scale of 2 is a great idea. Let's go with it. Let's set up the scale. One picture of the school is going to represent 2 schools. Okay. So for Mayfield, we only have 1 school in Mayfield. That's what our frequency chart tells us. So I need half of a school picture because that represents 1 of the schools. Terrence, question?
And the reason it's similar to a bar or everything else is because it has a name and it has a scale.
It does. Yep. Our graphs are all going to have titles and scales in 3rd grade. Yes, Miss Leah.
So why did they split the school in half, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they basically cut everything in the school a half.
I know. Picture graphs are pretty morbid when you get into the half stuff.
Why is everyone getting cut in half?
We have Richmond. Richmond has 10 schools in that town. So we're going to count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That means we need 5 pictures of schools in that town. So I'm going to duplicate this school picture 5 times because 2 times 5 is equal to 10. Any questions so far? Yes, Aiden Hampton.
So if it's only one school in each town, it's supposed to be a half.
It would be a half. Yep, because on our picture graph, a full picture represents 2 and half of 2 is 1. So half of a picture would represent 1 school.
And how much does half equal?
So pick these schools again.
How much does what?
Half equal.
Half would equal to 1 school.
Oh.
Because if a whole thing is equal to 2, half of it is equal to 1, because half of 2 is 1. Think you a question?
If there's a half school, there's a half day of school.
I would love that. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Parents, a question.
This is actually about math, but if you were in school and there was like 2 whole buildings and you could think of it like you have one side of the building.
Yep. All right, let's take a look at Greenwood. Greenwood, according to our frequency table, has 4 schools. I'm going to count by 2s. 2, 4. So I need 2 pictures in the Greenwood section to represent the 4 schools. Okay, and Salem. So Salem has 2 schools. We're going to count by 2s. 2. I only need 1 school. 1 school picture to represent the 2 schools in Salem. Okay. Questions on this? All right. Slide 7 has 2 questions for you to answer about the graph that we just created. I'm going to send you into some breakout rooms to work on those 2 questions together. I want to remind you what working on them together means. It means you are taking turns sharing ideas. It does not mean one person shares the screen and shows all of the answers. Okay? It does not mean that one person reads everything and the other person sits and listens. You are talking about your ideas together. Okay? Here come your invites for your breakout rooms. I'd like for you to answer both questions on slide 7. Here you go. All righty, here is what you should have come up with. How many more schools are in Greenwood than Salem and Mayfield? Greenwood has 4 schools. Salem and Mayfield put together has 3 schools. 4 subtract 3 is equal to 1 school. So there's 1 more school in Greenwood than in Salem and Mayfield. Any questions on that one? Okay. Let's take a look at our next question. How many less schools are in Salem than Richmond? Salem and Richmond. Richmond has 10 schools. Salem has 2 schools. Even though Salem came first in our question, we know from less that we're going to be subtracting, so we have to put our greater number on top. Richmond subtract Salem is 10 subtract 2, and that gives us 8 schools. Okay, 8 schools. Any questions on those? Yes, Terrence.
8 schools of what?
8 less schools are in Salem than Richmond. You can add a more specific number there, yes. All right, okay. Slides 8 and 9 were more of the same. We won't get to the questions on slide 9, but I do want to make sure that we move our title our scale and our categories where they need to be on the graph. So let's take a look at this. We have our frequency chart. The title is favorite breakfast food. Here's our title, favorite breakfast food. On a line plot, your title is going to go on top. Go ahead and get your title on the top of the graph where it belongs. So we have placed our title, check. Our scale, here is our scale. Let's look at our numbers. Our numbers are pretty small, 2, 6, and 4. So we can count by ones here. So each X is going to equal 1 person. If you wanted to count by 2s, you could do that as well, as these are even numbers, but we're going to count by 1s here. Scale, check. Categories. Our categories are the types of breakfast food. Yogurt, pancakes, and donuts. Here they are down here. Yogurt is first on my frequency chart. It's going to be first on my line plot. Pancakes are second on my frequency chart. They're going to be second on my line plot. And donuts are third on my frequency chart. They're going to be third on my line plot. Okay. Categories, check. It says determine the scale and then write it down. We've done that. And we're going to complete the line plot. Terrence, a question?
Yes. So are we going to do this? Do we have to do this for independent work or just leave it blank?
We're doing this right now.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look. It says duplicate the X. I know that I'm going to need 2 plus 6 plus 4 X's. That's a lot, so I'm going to duplicate it. Go ahead and duplicate your X here so that you can use them when they are needed. I think that'll be enough. If it's not, I can add more. All right, according to our frequency chart, yogurt has 2 votes. I'm going to place 2 X's in the yogurt category to represent those 2 votes. You do the same. Pancakes, I have a group of 5 and 1, that's 6 votes. I'm going to place 6 X's directly on top of each other in pancakes. Donuts has 4 votes. I'm going to take 4 of my X's because we said that an X is equal to 1. And we're going to move them into the donut category. Step 3 of completing the line plot is now finished. Questions on how to create a line plot, how to add a title, how to move your categories, questions? Okay. We ran out of time for the 2-step questions on slide 9, so you can skip those. If you'd like extra practice, feel free to do them, but I am not going to be checking them as part of your assignment today. I am going to be checking through slides 10 through 17. You are doing exactly what we've done. There's a bar graph. You're going to move the title, the scale, the categories, and fill it out. There's questions about it. There's a pictograph. You're going to move the title, the categories, the scale, and fill it out. Then there's questions about it. There's a line plot. You're going to move the title, the categories, the scale, and fill it out. And there's questions about it. Okay? As always, on your success criteria, I need you to use the microphone to describe your success with today's skill. All right? That is your independent work for today.